Gopijana Vallabha Giridharadhari Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Goranita Jaya Goranita Jaya Goranita Jaya Goranita Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the very short Srimad Bhagavatam class today. We'll be ending at 8:20 today. Today we'll be going over Canto 4, Chapter 24, verse number 4. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nasta Prayasva Bhadrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyutam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. Okay. Chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. Alright. Pavaka Pavamanascha Suchitya Naya Pura Vasishtha Savad Utpanaha Punaryoga Gatim Gataha Pavaka Pavamanascha Suchityagnaya Pura Vasishtha Sapar Utpana Punar Yoga Gatim Gataha Pavaka Pavamanascha Suchityagnaya Pura Vasishtha Sapar Utpana Punar Yoga Gatim Gataha. Bolo.
Pavaka Pavamanascha
Pavaka Pavamanascha Suchi Ityagnaya Pura Vasishtha Sapar Utpana Puna Yoga Gatim Gataha. Pavaka Pavamanascha Suchi Ityagnaya Para Vasishta Sapat Utpana
Guna yoga gatim gata. Bhagavatam Suchityanaya pura.
Vasishta Sapat Utpana Guna Yoga Gatim Gata
Tavaka pavamanascha.
Bhavaka Pavamanasa
Suchityanaya pura.
Suchi Ityagnaya Pra Vasishta Sapat Utpana
Guna yoga gatim gata.
Guna Yoga Gatim Gata Bhavaka Pavamanasa Suchi Vasishta Sapat Utpana Guna Yoga Gatim Gata. Alright, synonyms. Bhavaka, of the name Bhavaka. Bhavamana, of the name Bhavamana. Cha, also. Suchihi, of the name Suchi. Iti, thus. Agnaya, the fire gods. Pura, formerly. Vasishtha, the great sage Vasishtha. Shapat, by being cursed. Utpannaha, now born as such. Punnaha, again. Yoga Gatam, the destination of mystic yoga practice. Gataha, attained. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prabhupada Ki Jai. The three sons of Maharaja Antaradhana were named Bhavaka, Bhavamana, and Suchi. Formerly, these three personalities were the demigods of fire, but due to the course of the great sage Vasishtha, they became the sons of Maharaja Antaradhana. As such, they were as powerful as the fire gods, and they attained the destination of mystic yoga power, being again situated as the demigods of fire. Please repeat after me. The three sons of Maharaja Antaradhana were named Bhavaka, Bhavamana, and Suchi. Formerly, these three personalities were the demigods of fire. But due to the curse of the great sage Vasishtha, they became the sons of Maharaja Antaradhana. As such, they were as powerful as the fire gods. And they attained the destination of mystic yoga power, being again situated as the demigods of fire. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita 6:41 through 43, it is stated that one who falls down from yoga practice is elevated to the heavenly planets, and after enjoying the material facilities there, he again comes down to the earthly planet and takes birth in a very rich family or a very pious Brahmana family. Thus, it is to be understood that when demigods fall down, they come to earth as sons of very rich and pious families. In such families, living entities get an opportunity the living entity gets an opportunity to execute Krishna consciousness and thereby gain promotion to his desired goal. The sons of Maharaja Antardhana had been the demigods in charge of fire, and they regained their former position and by mystic power returned to the heavenly planets. Om Gyanatamrandhasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshu Umilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadharmayam Dadati Swaparantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindha Dinabandha Jagatpate Gopasya Gopaka Kanta Varha Kanta Namo Sute Tapta Kanchana Ghorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Mancha Kalpatru Vyasa Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Bhavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Devasesha Sonavarpa Satyarasattarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So within today's text and purport, the main point that's talked about are what happens to those who are pious and Krishna consciousness after they move on. And so I figured to begin this class, we'll read the 3 verses that are mentioned right in the beginning of the purport. So 641 of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, the unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. In the purport, Prabhupada goes a little further and says this to be righteous Brahmana Vaishnavas or aristocratic merchants. And then verse 42, Krishna says, or if unsuccessful after a long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly such a birth is rare in this world. In the last verse of the 3, text 43, Krishna says, on taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Guru. So this right here is a promise to each and every single one of us and all of those that come, that if you take up this Krishna consciousness, you won't lose it at all. So say, you build up your bank account, you get a nice family, you get a nice house, you get a car, you get all these things, you learn all this knowledge about the universe, about the human body, about the reproduction of caterpillars, about all these random things in the material world. You lose that at death. You generally do not get to keep all these things in your next life. There have been cases where sometimes people remember and pick up certain things from their past life, maybe like instruments or things like this, but generally all these things are gone as soon as you take on another body. You don't remember all these. All that knowledge that you gained within your past lives is completely annihilated. But Krishna promises that with spiritual realization, true spiritual realization, that you pick up right where you left off. So even if you don't make it very far, maybe you only get to do a little bit, maybe you only have a little bit of an understanding, you still get to pick up right where you left off and continue growing from that point on. So we should take up this process of chanting and trying to follow the full regs and being of service. Because no matter how far you get, you still gain. There's nothing you can lose. It's not a cruel game where you make it so far and then you die and you got to restart all over. You get to pick up right where you left off and continue on from there, birth after birth, which you don't get to do with anything else. So even when we go to help people, we have them chant just the name of Krishna. We have them just take a little bit of prasadam. They understand one part of the philosophy, just one little aspect. God's a person, or any little aspect that we give people is going to carry on with them into their next life if they don't go far within this one life. So we have the ability within our hand to be able to not only help ourselves in our Krishna consciousness, but we have the ability to help others. So when we help people, but we feel like we can't help them to the fullest extent, oh no, they didn't become a full devotee. They're not chanting 16 rounds every day. They're not following the four regulative principles completely. They're not doing all these things. Even if you can make them do one small little thing different in their life, one small thing spiritually, you've helped them in such a profound, huge way that's going to change the course of the rest of their lives in the material world. You've given them an opportunity to keep picking up and growing within the Krishna consciousness. The biggest harm you can do to someone is to discourage and ruin their growth in their Krishna consciousness. As some say, silence is violence. If you're not out here giving Krishna consciousness to others, you're allowing them to fall into miseries and into deeper and deeper states of pain and ignorance. Because now they got to keep continuing on in the material world, really trying to figure out everything when you have the ability to help them out. Some people we can't do everything for. Some people aren't going to be willing to really accept what we give them. But even then, you can at least pray for them. You can at least pray for them that they will gain in their Krishna consciousness. But any little thing you do will greatly help them, greatly help people. And there's so many things that you can do even sneakily. You could just slip someone a little bit of prasadam, and this has the ability to help them so far. Now, the goal is not to just become pious and, go up to like the heavenly planets, obviously. I mean, you could do that if that's really what you're wanting to do, and that's your goal in life. But go beyond that. Why stay within this material world? They're so pious and so sweet that they end up regaining back to being fire gods, but go farther than that. You have the ability, you have everything in your hands. Prabhupada was so merciful that he came all this way to further propagate Lord Chaitanya's movement, further spread this knowledge so that we don't have to go birth after birth trying to figure everything out. So we have the opportunity at our hands to be like, okay, this is it. This is the answer. This is what I've been looking for so many lives since time immemorial. I no longer have to keep looking around. Let me make this one life for Krishna. I've given so many lives to Maya, so many lives to this material energy, so many lives to my own selfish endeavors. Why don't I give this one life to Krishna? What's the harm in that? And if I don't like it, okay, next life, whatever, I'll do what I want. But this life, let me do my hardest and my best to give it to Krishna. And if you do this, you won't be dissatisfied. Krishna's always trying to fulfill all your desires, whether he likes it or not. You know, you want to live like an animal, you want to live in a certain mode like that, okay, so be it. If that's what you really want, he'll fulfill that. But if you really want Krishna, then he'll fulfill that to the fullest extent. He's been waiting for so long for us to come to him. He'll fulfill that to the extent that someone surrenders under Krishna is the extent that he rewards them. So if you're really sincere and you're really trying your hardest, then by all means, Krishna will give you every bit of knowledge you need and carry what you lack so that you can come to him. You take one step, he takes 10 steps towards you. So why not give this one life to Krishna? And if we don't make it, you don't have anything to lose. There's nothing to lose. You only gain within Krishna consciousness. A person only chants one Maha Mantra sincerely within their lifetime. That's the biggest thing they could have done, probably bigger than anything else they've done in all their other lifetimes. All their other lifetimes. Because now they're going to keep growing and growing. And it's going to build up so eventually they can leave this horrible material existence. They don't have to be conditioned by the material modes. They'll eventually make it, and each and one of you can make it. I mean, I'm talking to very learned personalities in this room, but either way, the point is, within Krishna consciousness, if you take up this process that has been given down through the parampara system, untainted, unchanged, since Lord Brahma within this universe, then you have everything at your hands. So much power at your hands. That's pretty hard to really understand just how much power that is, because this is literally directly Krishna, the creator of everything, speaking directly to you. The creator of us, the spiritual and the material world. And he's telling you how to get out of this world and how to have a happy life, how to not go through pain, how to love, how to actually act in your position as a living entity, as a loving, eternal servant of the Lord. Because if you act in any other way, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to be satisfied. Because that's not your position. You're putting on a show. You're putting on a different costume. That is not your role. You are an eternal loving servant of God. And that means you have to have a relationship with them. Otherwise, you'll never be happy. This is the position. A fish, it has to be in water in order to be happy. It has to. Otherwise, it can't be. And a baby, it has to be in air. You can't just put a baby in the water and be like, all right, you're good now. No, the baby will drown. Similarly, we're like that baby. We're drowning in the ocean of material existence. We're not where we're supposed to be at. We're not in the right consciousness. We have to come to the platform of Krishna consciousness and be in our eternal position. Because if you go on doing any other process that is not getting you to the stage of being an eternal loving servant of God, you're fooling yourself completely. You're an illusion. Because with this, you're putting on more and more coverings over you. You may think, oh yes, I'm an American, I'm an Indian, I'm Muslim, I'm Christian. You're putting on all these other titles You're maybe thinking, okay, I'm gonna be this kind of yogi or that kind of yogi, and you're putting on like all these titles other than I'm an eternal loving servant of God. That's the only true title you have. Any other title is not you. You can come up with all these other titles, but in reality, none of those titles are you. So we should come learn how to understand who we are and what our position is and how do we act in that position. Because it's one thing to logically understand, okay, I'm an eternal loving servant of God, but to practically understand, yeah, it takes practice. You have to understand what is the process and what do I do to get to that way. How does a spirit soul act as a loving servant? Do I just offer anything and everything to God? I'm gonna kill this animal and I'm gonna offer that to God? Am I going to go smoke some drugs and offer that to God? No. You have to know the process of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, what's favorable and what's unfavorable, and be able to do that nicely. And we have the parampara system that backs us up. We have the scripture that backs us up. We have the sadhus that backs us up to really make sure that we're in line. We have 3 checks: Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. They keep us in check on what's the right path and what's the false path, what's real reality. Now, if you do anything else, it's hard because you don't have that. You generally, most people, when they're trying to figure out the fabrications of the world and all that, they don't go as far as having so many checkpoints, so many fact checkers. We have 3 to keep us in check. If one seems off, we have other 2 to keep us in check. Whereas if you try any other process, generally you only have one thing. You either have a group of people telling you it's okay, while everything else is telling you it's wrong. You have this so-called guru that's telling you it's okay, whereas everything else is saying it's wrong. Or you have some type of falsified information or book that you're getting that everything proves else says it's wrong. But we have 3 fact checkers. So if we pick up this process of Krishna consciousness, hearing, chanting, all the 9 processes of Bhakti Yoga, you won't fail. You'll have every opportunity, birth after birth, to keep going, and you won't lose it. Whereas with any other thing, you will lose it after you die. And you'll have to redo it all over again, and then lose it again, and then go all over again and lose it again. And this repetitive process, that's the definition of insanity, is do the same thing over and over expecting a different result. Don't be insane. Be sane. You have the process. You know what is going to work. Krishna, God himself, is directly telling you, you can keep up to this process to whatever extent you can sincerely do. You'll just keep growing. And even if you're not that sincere, if you just keep one thing with you, that's going to grow and stay with you throughout the rest of your lifetimes. So take up this process. I think this is the time to stop. It's 8:20 now, and it's a short class, but are there any quick questions or comments before we head off to go do yard work? Let's get done, Sweta.
Nice preaching. Class, good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, you had mentioned that. Wait a second here. This is interesting to point out. I mean, just pointing out for the sake of time that these fire gods, they were reinstituted into their position as fire gods, and they attained the destination of mystic yoga. But it's not implied that destination is liberation.
Yeah.
So mystic yoga without bhakti is not the position of liberation. So, I mean, there is mystic yoga that is like a bhakti type of mystic yoga that, Kapila Dev speaks about, but the mystic yoga that they're referring to here seems to not be that mystic yoga, because it's saying, as such, as these fire gods, they attain the destination of mystic yoga, being again situated in their position as fire gods. So it's interesting.
That's a good point. That's why you should go beyond that. Go back home, back to God. Don't just go to the heavenly planets or become a demigod. Go beyond.
Because most people in the world that practice mystic yoga today, or that type of yoga, there's no conception of Krishna. But the actual yoga system is all about meditating on Vishnu in the heart. It's not about, they can do all the meditation, but the actual thing is to meditate on Vishnu in the heart. And so without that meditation on Vishnu, the process of smaranam, there's really no actual result to the mystic yoga.
Thank you. Alrighty. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Sorry.